Welcome back to America Decides. Good to have you with us. We are keeping a watchful eye and receptive ears on President Trump's remarks to House Republicans at his golf course in Doral. If he says something noteworthy, we shall bring it to you in this broadcast. We are monitoring as I speak. Here to discuss other related matters, Sophia Cai and Fin Gómez join me here at the table. Sophia is a White House reporter for Politico and author of West Wing Playbook. Fin Gómez needs no introduction, but I'll give it to you anyway. Political director right here at CBS News. Sophia and Fin, great to see you. Thanks for joining me. Sophia, we talked about this going into the break. This question that President Trump rather surprisingly raised on his way to North Carolina, then to California, either get rid of FEMA, vastly overhaul it. My colleague Margaret Brennan asked J.D. Vance, the vice president, about this on Face the Nation. Control room, play that soundbite if you'd be so kind.
The Mississippis, the Kentuckys, the Alabamas be able to do this for themselves without federal help?
Well, the president, to be clear, is not saying we're going to leave anybody behind. He's saying that in the way that we administer these resources, some of which is coming from the federal level, some of which is coming from the state level, we've got to get the bureaucrats out of the way and get the aid to the people who need it most.
The idea on the table, as best we can discern it, is just send money to the states and have them administer all this. Sophia, that sounds like a kind of Back to the Future thing, 1960s, 1950s America, not the FEMA and disaster preparation and response that we've seen most recently.
Right. I don't think that ultimately Trump will cut FEMA. Plus, he can't do it on his own anyways.
Congress has to agree.
Right. Yes, of course. And, you know, what he's doing there is something he does a lot, which is put the most extreme proposal on the table. And with the executive order that he's going to do, it really just asks for a task force. He's going to assemble some experts, some agency heads to say, give me some recommendations for changes to FEMA. And, you know, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise because this was an issue that he had with the entire campaign, including when he went to go visit Asheville, North Carolina.
Fin, we had over the weekend, on Sunday in particular, a rapid back and forth that looked like it was moving toward a trade war between the Trump administration and the government of Colombia. By about 11 p.m. last night, it had been resolved Eastern time, just after the second of two Championship Sunday playoff games. Not exactly suggesting they're related, but it all got calmed back down.
Sure.
What, if anything, does that tell us about the tenacity of the Trump administration and the willingness of other trading partners to stand up for themselves, at least for a moment or two?
What you're talking about, Major, of course, is the 19-hour trade war with Colombia, as our colleague Ed O'Keefe calls it. Yeah, but it is, and it was. And it also showed us, I believe, he opened up his playbook on tariffs, what he can do. Look, President Trump did. Look, Colombia is a smaller country. We know that. But right now, 2 weeks before Valentine's Day, it's a crucial partner in what? In flowers, right? So, like,
and don't forget coffee.
Coffee, which AOC, I think, very smartly and very politically astute comment there said, look, this impacts you and coffee for Americans, right? Because the tariffs are applied not to Colombians, they're applied to us, right? So who would you rather, what commodity would you rather buy and where from? So therefore, what he showed us was, this is how I'm going to use tariffs. I'm going to use this as a weapon, as a tool to harness those who do not agree with certain issues that are key to me and my base, including immigration. And he corralled them, and he harnessed, he utilized that weapon, he utilized it as a tool to put them in place. And by the end of those 19 hours, Colombia had agreed.
And Sophia, the underlying issue here was deportation flights and the way that the United States was handling them and the way the Colombian government interpreted the sort of roughing up or disrespect shown to Colombians being repatriated.
Right. And I think the expectation from the Trump White House was that the Colombian government agreed to every single one of the asks, which is, whenever we send you undocumented immigrants from the U.S., you take them, no questions asked. And up until the point when the Colombian government agreed to all of that, you know, they had said, all of these tariffs have been drafted. We're going to move forward. We're going to move forward, until they had all of those expectations met.
And in essence, I don't think it's an exaggeration to say more than not, the Colombian government blinked.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. They slow blinked. You know, it was definitely a blink.
And it was a slow blink.
Yeah, but at the same time, two things I think that he should be cognizant of is the growing power of President Trump should be cognizant of the growing power of China in those Latin American countries, right? Are they going to pivot and say, like, fine, we're going to go and China will be our major benefactor here, right? Like there could be some consequences that they may not be prepared for. This didn't happen in this case, of course. But also, I do believe you saw President Sheinbaum in Mexico also this afternoon speaking out against President Trump and the administration's efforts on immigration as well. She did. So has this caused maybe a domino effect while other Latin American leaders who are key partners in his immigration plans and policies, will they also fall in line, or will they be more vocal about their citizens who are being deported back? I mean, that's something to keep an eye on.
And Sophia, as you know, the United States and Colombia have been very good allies, trading partners. Colombia has resisted the temptation that Fin just raised of other South American countries to orient themselves as trading partners more aggressively with China, been more aggressive toward the United States. So they're supposedly in the safe and good camp, and they still get roughed up by tariff threats.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, with Canada, too,
Canada,
right? Like,
Mexico,
that
list
first
goes
truth,
on.
I mean, he wasn't in office yet, and Trump sent out this truth about tariffs, and I think within 24 hours, you know, you had Canada's leaders show up to Mar-a-Lago to, you know, have the opening chat with Trump. I mean, that's another example of a U.S. ally being thrown in the thick of it.
And whether there's going to be a fast blink, a slow blink, or an intermediately timed blink, schedule February 1 in your day planners, because in regards to Mexico and Canada, that's when those tariffs threatened by President Trump may actually become real. Fin Gómez, Sophia Cai, thank you very much for joining me at the table.